We all have to have relationships with someone at some at some point in our lives. Before I had children, I did my best. I would try to fit in with this group and fit in with that group and fit in with that group, and it wouldn't work. So I would just say to myself, I was highly medicated anyhow. I was sleeping the majority of the time because the medications made me really droggy, really drowsy. I was dealing with a lot of dissociation, so I was scared to drive. And dissociation mean I can be sitting talking to you, and my mind would just go, and I'd be back at that place of trauma and terror, but you see my physical body sitting here. And you're talking to me, and you see that I'm just in a daze. I'm gone. And you're like, what's going on? This chick is crazy. And it would take me a while just to come back. Now it happens. It happens to me now. Those flashbacks, those day terrors, they happen pretty much on a regular basis. It's not as long as it used to be, and I've learned to control it. I'm still sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll be like, "Where'd you go?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" No, you just wasn't there. I was talking to you and you weren't responding, or you just went into a daze. That's what happens. It's those thoughts become so lucid to where you feel like you're right there in that event again. And it's not the entire event replaying for the most part. It's like a little snippet. And if you've ever watched, see, I don't do murder, any movies with murder. I don't do horror. I don't do, I tell them no negative, no murder, death, kill. I pretty much do a lot of cartoon kiddie movies with my kids, and they're always like, "Oh, mom, you're just scared." I've learned to accept that. Okay, they think mommy is just scared of all of the movies, but it's not necessarily that. It's just the fact that I don't do a lot of war movies. I may not have suffered PTSD from war, but it's still a traumatic event to see, and you're seeing someone else's traumatic event can bring back the memory of your traumatic event. I do my best not to watch a lot of news. I mean, I'll cut it on in the mornings just to get, the weather. And then also, news can be kind of entertaining. So if you're right at that right point in the news where they're maybe interviewing someone about something, or out, the station that I watch, they go out on Fridays and interview, small businesses and, things like that. That's, to me, that's entertaining. It's informative, it's educational in a way, and then I also get a chance to see what's going on in traffic and what's going on in the weather, and after that it's off. Especially if there's been a lot of events that are negative that are taking place over the night, and they're just reporting all this back to back to back. It's off. It's really nothing for me there, because it's just going to bring a negative emotion. And because of the avoidance of a lot of different things, your relationship stuff. If your child wants to go and see some movie that's coming out, and you're like, I don't take my kids to the movies. My sister, my mother, my father, they would normally be the ones that would take my kids to the movies. They have truly stepped in that gap for me, um, and been there for my kids. And my daughter says a lot, "Oh, mom, I wish you can go." So because she says that a lot, I'm actually going to make myself go to the theater today. I think it's Tomorrowland, a robot movie. So hopefully it's enough positivity in it to where I don't have to get up and walk out. My sister is going, so I'll have some backup. It's things like this. I can't just go and take my children to a movie theater by myself because if I feel like I can't watch it and enjoy it, then I'm going to have to get up and go, because I don't want to deal with what's going to come later. Deal with the enhanced emotions, the enhanced just feeling like something is just hovering over me, you know? So that relationship that most kids have, oh, my mom took me to the movies, my dad took, that'll be one of the relationships that will be almost non-existent. Almost, you know. My best friend from we were best friends when we were in the fifth grade. Moved in the neighborhood that her grandmother lived in, and she was staying with her grandmother, and we have been best friends since the fifth grade. I was in the military. I came back to watch her get married, and it was just so awesome. It was so awesome. And then when I finally did get out of the military and decided to move back to Houston and was able to connect with her, she'd say, "You're different." And I never really understood the depth of what she was saying until we found out a couple years after that, because we had lost contact, that we were actually living down the street from each other. And I would go, I was just so excited. This is my best friend from fifth grade. How many people can say they have a best friend from fifth grade? For me, it wasn't just that I had this best friend from the fifth grade on up. It was that I wanted a sense of normalcy. But we're adults now. It's not going to be the way it was when we were riding bikes down the street. She's married with children. I had children. So our dialect, our conversations, it was different. But she was the one that pointed that out. I tried to keep it, mainly about the kids, didn't really go into too much details about too much stuff, but she would just be like, you're different. There's something else about you. You're not that happy-go-lucky, bubbly person that you used to be. I was the outgoing one. I was always, let's go get it, let's go do it. That was me. I was the leader. I would just go and do it. Something needed to get done, that was me. Call on me because I'm going to get it done. But out of everything that I would try and talk about, which was the here and the now, she realized that, what happened to you? I couldn't tell her because I didn't want her to look at me differently. I wanted her to love me as her friend and not as a person that had gone through and survived such a horrific trauma. Our relationship has dwindled because I chose not to open up to her about that difference in me. She was still, although we were grown and she's married with children, still that same vibrant person that I remember, she still had that. And I was almost jealous, guys. Excuse me. I couldn't take it. I have not spoken to her. I saw her in the store, and we're not enemies, anything like that. It's just she's living this happy-go-lucky life. And there's a time when you feel like, oh my God, this issue that someone chose to commit against me has affected my life in more ways than I actually accepted and realized, That relationship with my best friend. Even when you're filling out paperwork, excuse me, and they say childhood best friend, she was the one that I would put down because that's my childhood best friend. Hands down. There's other friends that I've met afterwards, but from the fifth grade on up, childhood best friend. I still put her name down. Yeah, excuse me. So you deal with a hindrance in your relationships, At least I did, because I couldn't open up to her, and she knew something was wrong. Something. Mm-mm. This isn't you. A lot of times she would call me, I wouldn't answer because I was dealing with the effects of PTSD, you know?